Oh, I can't take it anymore. I can't take watching my Fartboy token just go down day after day with this constant sell off. Is it ever going to come back? Is it ever going to take me to new all time highs? Well, today I'm going to find out just that. You've come to the right place if you're looking for Fartboy price analysis. I'm Crypto Neil, and let's jump on into the charts and check out where the price of Fartboy is going in the near future. Welcome everyone to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. We are checking out Fartboy today, the internet's favorite meme coin. And before I jump on into the charts, I do want to show you Fartboy on CoinGecko. And the reason for that is I just want to tip you off to the circulating supply, total supply of this coin. And essentially any other coin that has this sort of setup, I do strongly advise not entering such projects. Essentially, they're just pump and dumps. We have a total supply of 999,438,479. And essentially, when you see a circulating supply of 1 trillion, the coin is inflationary by nature. And what I mean by that is, well, let's say you take the US dollar, and let's say the total circulating supply is next to infinite. When that happens, you've reached max inflationary, how do I put this? You've reached the max amount that that currency can inflate, which essentially is infinite. And when you have a trillion circulating supply, you can never sell out. You don't have scarcity like Bitcoin does. You don't have a token burn or something of that sort that makes this token deflationary, and thus it can only just kind of lose value over time, which is what we're now seeing take place. However, if you are a bag holder in Fartboy, don't panic sell just yet. I'm going to give you a little bit of hopium on the charts as to why this essentially could bounce quite aggressively in the near future. So we're going to need to jump on over to TradingView to check that out. When you do look up Fartboy on TradingView, make sure you look at Radium Solana. That's where this token was launched, so it's going to give you the most price data and thus the clearest picture on the chart as to where this is going. So we have this clear downward trend happening on Fartboy on the daily. I'm going to cover the daily first because I do believe most people, that's what they're going to be looking at on the chart. So with this here, we can mark off a few regions of interest. We can see here that initially we had a top and some consolidation for essentially a week before going on this parabolic move, blow off top, and then coming back down. So where this move originated from, I'd like to mark that off as a key region for coming back down and back testing as support. You can already see here, if I get the correct tool, we had a nice wick bounce here, and that came in essentially at the old highs. So now that we've back tested this, if we're not going to bounce essentially very soon, and this, if Bitcoin bounces, keep in mind this is going to bounce aggressively. So just keep that in mind. Making the assumption that Bitcoin is going to continue to bleed, then we can kind of make the assumption as to where this asset's going to go. So that keeping that in the background. However, I do think this is going to do something like this. So let's just draw it out. I do think there's going to be bounces to the upside where you think the price is going back up, ultimately getting rejected before coming back down, testing this green zone, and then forming some kind of base. And this is what I think price could look like in the future for Fartboy. And the reason I think that isn't just because of my past experience. I can also back that up with other similar tokens, and I will show you that in a couple minutes. First, I just want to point out that it's important after getting major blow off tops that you come down, consolidate, and find support. And typically with meme coins or projects like this, you typically get quite a large drawdown of 80 to 90% when you do retrace. So we've so far seen about a 76% drawdown. going down to the zone of highlighted, that puts us around 85%, 86%. So I do think it's very likely that there is still drawdown to go, or potential downside to go for Fartboy. But if we base around this region and essentially have some sort of price action where we sweep these lows and then reclaim them, these lows I'm talking about are here. So if you have price come down below these lows, everyone think the coin's going to zero, it's dead. It comes back up, sweeps everyone's stop losses, and then essentially starts to climb higher, gaining the liquidity that was trapped down here. That to me is the most likely scenario for a reversal. However, this could take some time, essentially going through a mini bear market of consolidation. A mini bear market I'm referring to, it's not going to be like Bitcoin where it goes down for a year, sideways for a year, and then back up. Essentially, like we've seen most of the drawdown, 75% of it take place already. There's still 10% more to go before I see this basing out. So just keep that in mind. There will be bounces along the way to try to fool you, like we just had recently, where you think price is going to return and get above this prior breakdown level, but ultimately just to get rejected and bleed lower. So that's kind of to keep in mind for future price action for Fartboy. I do want to show you kind of historically why this is the most likely scenario to play out for Fartboy. So for that, we're going to go to a slightly older fart token nonetheless, called Fartcoin. Again, check it out on Radium where it was launched, so we can get the most accurate and up-to-date fullest price action on the chart. So here we had this nice whether you call it Elliott wave structure or whatnot, had this nice uptrend structure forming higher highs, higher lows, and essentially a blow off top with major wicks and major volume. That's how you can kind of spot a top before coming back down. And where did we come back down to? Where we initially broke out. And the reason why this is the initial breakout is because you've formed the uptrend, you formed the higher low, you've based out, and then you went impulsive where you went essentially several days without any overlapping price action. Price never came back down, you know, like this and tested this region. It essentially just went impulsive to the upside and still kept trudging on before finding its ultimate high so far. Now we can see that price has come down essentially in this zone here to form a base, and it's forming a base exactly where we originally broke out from, down here. So this is healthy price action. If you hold this level, and again you can still wick below or come down below, take liquidity from these lows, reclaim this zone, and work out higher. That hasn't taken place yet, but this base has. This base has already formed. And that is why when we go back to Fartboy, we can see that that is the most likely scenario to take place. Some sort of base forming in here, in this zone, where we initially broke out of, before deciding whether it's going to go higher or ultimately go back to zero. So to me, that's the most likely scenario for Fartboy. If you are trading this on smaller time frames, we can jump on into those. So we're going to go to the 4 hour here. There's really nothing to really nothing that stands out on lower time frames, because you just have price action ultimately just constantly getting rejected, constantly selling off. RSI has been below 50 for eons, with essentially only one real attempt at getting into a bullish control zone, where we had this attempt at a dead cat bounce that got rejected quite early on. So I would look at Fartboy essentially taking its time, basing out around where we initially broke out before it's going to make any clear, concise decision as to where we're going next. So just keep that in mind. If you are a bag holder, there's probably not much more downside to go, but there is going to be some time that takes place before this decides to go back to the upside. Ultimately, an alternate scenario that could take place is essentially this price action here is mimicking this price action here, in which case we have a triple tap and we run up. So that's 1, 2, 3 taps of the lows before going higher. That's a nice basing structure. So if you do look at this similarly, we have 1, 2, and this essentially, if it pushes back up, could be a triple tap, but it's not as clean as this structure here, and that's ultimately why I do believe that we are going to base out and we're not just going to immediately run higher. So that's going to do it for the Fartboy analysis. I hope you guys are staying safe in the market, especially if you are involved in investing or trading something like Fartboy. You do want to be aware of the potential downside targets and the risk involved in essentially purchasing something with infinite circulating supply that's inflationary by nature. So although I don't, I should say I'm not affiliated with this token. I actually have never traded it before. But I do bring forth a lot of prior knowledge of investing in things like Doge and Shiba. And if you do look at historic patterns, essentially it's just psychology of the market playing out over and over again. So these meme coins are subject to very similar price action that can happen, kind of mimicking prior meme coins from the past. And I'm not saying it's a dead coin, but just be cautious when looking at investing in something like this in your portfolio. So with that said, that's going to do it for me. If you did find any of this content valuable, please leave a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Drop a comment. What altcoin do you want to see me review next? Or do you just rather me do Bitcoin and Ethereum analysis and keep it to those big dogs? So let's keep safe in the market. Let's grow together and have yourself a wonderful trade week.